August 31st, 1997. Paris, France. 9:47 p.m. In Suite 102 of the Ritz Hotel, Princess Diana picks up the phone with trembling hands. She's about to make a call that will haunt those who heard it for the rest of their lives. On the other end, thousands of miles away in Balmoral Castle, her two sons wait to say goodnight to their mother.
Mommy?
William's voice cracks slightly. He's 15 years old, trying to sound mature but failing.
Hello, darling.
Diana's voice is warm but strained. Saturday morning, August 30th, 1997. The Mediterranean sun rises over Saint-Tropez, France, casting golden light across the deck of the Jonacall, Mohammed Al-Fayed's luxury yacht. Diana wakes early, as she always does, and steps out onto the deck in her white swimsuit, her blonde hair catching the morning breeze. She's been here for 9 days, the happiest 9 days she's had in years, away from London, away from the prying eyes of the British press, away from the cold disapproval of the royal family. Here, with Dodi Fayed, she can be just Diana, not Princess Diana, not the ex-wife of Prince Charles, not the mother constantly fighting for custody and relevance, just a woman in love, or at least trying very hard to believe she is. Dodi emerges from below deck with coffee and croissants. He's 42 years old, Egyptian film producer, playboy, and son of one of the richest men in the world. He's handsome in that Mediterranean way, charming, attentive, and most importantly, he makes Diana feel desired in a way she hasn't felt since the early days of her marriage. "Good morning, beautiful," he says, kissing her cheek. "Did you sleep well?" "Better than I have in months," Diana lies. The truth is she barely slept, her mind racing with thoughts of William and Harry back in Scotland with Charles, of the photographers who follow her everywhere, of the constant feeling that she's being watched, judged, hunted. Over breakfast, Dodi pulls out a small velvet box. Diana's heart skips, not with joy, but with something closer to panic. They've only been dating for 6 weeks. This is too fast, too soon, too much pressure. But when he opens the box, it's not a ring. It's a pair of diamond earrings, beautiful and expensive but not binding. Diana exhales relief. She hopes Dodi doesn't notice. "They're beautiful," she says, putting them on. "You spoil me. You deserve to be spoiled. You've been treated badly for too long." He means well, but his words remind her of everything she's trying to forget. The marriage that crumbled under the weight of infidelity and public scrutiny, the royal family that never truly accepted her, the constant battle between being a princess and being a person. Her phone rings. It's her friend Rosa Monckton calling from London. Diana steps away to take it privately. "Diana, are you sure about this?" Rosa's voice is concerned. "The papers are going mad. They're saying you're going to marry Dodi, that you're converting to Islam, that you're abandoning Britain. Let them say what they want. I'm tired of living my life for headlines. But what about William and Harry? What will this do to them?" Diana's voice hardens. "My sons will understand that their mother deserves happiness too. Charles had Camilla throughout our entire marriage, and somehow that was acceptable. But if I dare to find someone, it's not the same and you know it. You're the mother of the future King of England. Every choice you make is scrutinized, which is exactly why I need to get away. Rosa, I'm suffocating. The royal family, the press, the security detail monitoring my every move. I feel like I'm being hunted, like something terrible is going to happen if I don't escape." Rosa is quiet for a moment. "Then come home. Come back to London. Be with your sons. This relationship with Dodi, it feels rushed. People are worried about you. People are always worried about me. But no one seems to notice that I'm drowning." After the call ends, Diana stands at the railing, looking out at the impossibly blue Mediterranean. She should feel free here. Instead, she feels trapped in a different way, as if invisible walls are closing in from all directions. Dodi approaches from behind, wrapping his arms around her waist. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Everything. I don't know anymore." "Then let's go to Paris tonight. We'll have dinner, stay at the Ritz, away from all this, just the two of us." Diana turns to face him. "The press will follow us. Let them. I have a plan to lose them. Trust me." And because she's tired, because she's desperate for something different, because she doesn't know what else to do, Diana agrees. A decision that will cost her everything. They land at Le Bourget Airport in Paris at 3:20 p.m. The moment the private jet's door opens, camera flashes explode like lightning. Dozens of paparazzi have somehow learned of their arrival, crowding the tarmac, shouting Diana's name, demanding she look their way, smile, give them something to sell. Diana's face tightens. She's dealt with paparazzi for 16 years. ever since she was 19 years old and engaged to Prince Charles. She's been photographed pregnant, photographed crying, photographed in her most private moments. But lately it's gotten worse, more aggressive, more invasive. They follow her to the gym, to restaurants, to her son's school. They hide in bushes outside her home. They chase her car through London streets at dangerous speeds. "Don't worry," Dodi whispers as they descend the stairs. "We'll lose them at the hotel." They're driven to the Ritz Hotel in Place Vendôme, owned by Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed. It's one of the most luxurious hotels in the world, and Dodi has arranged for them to use the Imperial Suite, normally reserved for heads of state and billionaires. Security is supposed to be tight, privacy is supposed to be guaranteed, but as their Mercedes pulls up to the hotel entrance, there are already photographers waiting, cameras ready, questions being shouted in French and English. How did they know? Who told them? Diana keeps her head down as they rush through the lobby. Hotel staff try to shield them, but it's useless. Flashes blind her, voices assault her ears. In the elevator, finally alone, she closes her eyes and leans against the wall. "I can't do this anymore," she whispers. "Do what?" "This. Any of this. The running, the hiding, the constant performance. I just want to be normal." Dodi takes her hand. "You'll never be normal, Diana. You're extraordinary. That's why they can't leave you alone." "I don't want to be extraordinary. I want to be invisible." In the suite, Diana tries to rest but can't. She paces the ornate rooms, her anxiety building with each passing minute. She knows what's happening outside. Photographers positioning themselves, making phone calls to other photographers, forming a net she won't be able to escape. At 9:30 p.m. they leave the suite for dinner. The original plan was to eat at Chez Benoit, a Michelin-starred restaurant on Rue Saint-Martin. But when they arrive, they find the entrance surrounded by photographers, at least 30 of them, blocking the sidewalk, shouting, pushing forward with their cameras. "We can't stay here," Diana says, anxiety rising in her chest. "Dodi, please. I can't breathe with them surrounding us like this." They get back in the car and return to the Ritz. Dodi is frustrated, embarrassed that his romantic evening is falling apart. He makes calls, arranges for them to dine at L'Espadon, the hotel's restaurant. At least there, security can control who enters. But even inside the restaurant, Diana can see photographers through the windows, their camera lenses pressed against the glass like weapons. She picks at her food, grilled turbot and vegetables, unable to eat. Every flash makes her flinch. Every shout of her name makes her want to run. "I have an idea," Dodi says, leaning forward. "We'll have the car brought to the front entrance as a decoy. Meanwhile, we'll leave through the back with a different driver. By the time they realize we're gone, we'll be at my apartment." "Your apartment? On Rue Arsène Housset. It's private, secure. We can spend the night there without anyone knowing." Diana considers this. The idea of escape, even temporary, is appealing. "What about my security? Trevor Rees-Jones? He'll come with us, but we'll use my driver, Henri Paul. He knows Paris better than anyone." Diana has met Henri Paul before, the Ritz's deputy head of security. She doesn't particularly like him. There's something smarmy about his manner, the way he hovers around wealthy guests hoping for tips. But Dodi trusts him, and Diana is too exhausted to argue. Around 10:15 p.m., Diana excuses herself to the restroom. In the mirror, she barely recognizes herself. The Diana staring back looks older than 36, tired and frightened in a way that makeup can't hide. She thinks about William and Harry, wonders what they're doing right now, whether they're asleep or lying awake thinking about her. She pulls out her phone and calls her friend Richard Kay, a journalist at the Daily Mail. It's a strange friendship. Diana and a tabloid reporter, but Richard has always been fair to her, and sometimes she needs to talk to someone who understands the media machine. "Diana, where are you? The papers are saying you're going to announce your engagement to Dodi. That's ridiculous. We've been dating 6 weeks, so it's not true?" Diana is quiet for a moment. "Richard, I need you to know something. If anything happens to me." "What do you mean, if anything happens?" "I mean, I've been having these feelings lately. Like I'm being watched, followed by more than just photographers. Like someone wants me gone." "Diana, you're being paranoid. The royal family isn't going to Foley." "I'm not talking about the royals. I'm talking about something bigger. Forces I don't understand. All I know is I feel in danger, and I don't know who to trust anymore." "Then come back to London. Be with your sons where you're safe." "Am I safe in London? Or is that just another kind of prison?" She hangs up before he can answer. Back at the table, Dodi is waiting, his face bright with excitement about his plan to escape. Diana forces a smile and agrees to everything. What choice does she have? Around 7 p.m. she calls Balmoral Castle to speak with William and Harry. The conversation is brief, both boys distracted by whatever activities Charles has planned for them. Diana tries to sound cheerful, asks about their day, tells them she loves them, but when William asks when she's coming home, she realizes she doesn't know how to answer. Soon, darling. Very soon. You always say that. I know. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible mother. You're not terrible, Mom. You're just far away. After she hangs up, Diana sits on the edge of the enormous bed and cries. Dodie finds her like this and sits beside her, saying nothing, just holding her. And for a moment she thinks maybe this could work. Maybe she could build a life with this man, away from England, away from the royals, away from everything that's made her so miserable. But deep down she knows it's a fantasy. She'll never truly escape. They'll never let her go. At 12:20 a.m., now August 31st, Henry Paul arrives at the Ritz. He's been off duty since 7 p.m., but Dodie called him back for this special assignment. Henry is in good spirits, joking with staff, confident and relaxed. Too relaxed, some will later say. Too confident for a man about to drive Princess Diana through Paris at night. What no one knows yet is that Henry Paul has been drinking. Not heavily. He'll later test at 3 times the legal limit. But in this moment, he seems fine, coherent, capable. Or maybe everyone is too distracted to notice. Maybe they want to believe he's fine because the alternative is too complicated. Trevor Rhys-Jones, Diana's bodyguard, has reservations about the plan. Your Royal Highness, this isn't safe. We should use the primary vehicle with a full security detail. Trevor, if we do that, the photographers will follow us all the way to Dodie's apartment. This way, we can actually have some peace. But using the rear exit, a driver who's been off duty, no advance route planning, we'll be fine, Dodie interrupts. Henry knows every street in Paris. We'll be at the apartment in 10 minutes. At 12:18 a.m., the decoy car pulls up to the front entrance. As expected, photographers swarm it, cameras flashing, engines starting, everyone preparing to follow. In the chaos, Diana and Dodie slip out the rear entrance on Rue Cambon, where a black Mercedes S280 waits, Henry Paul behind the wheel. Trevor Rhys-Jones climbs into the front passenger seat, still unhappy with the arrangement. Diana and Dodie slide into the back, and just like that they're moving, pulling away from the hotel, turning onto Rue Cambon, heading toward the Seine. For a moment Diana feels relief. They've escaped. The photographers haven't noticed yet. They have a few minutes of freedom, of privacy, of normalcy. But then headlights appear behind them. 1 motorcycle, then 2, then 3. The paparazzi have figured it out. They're following us, Diana says, looking out the back window. Henry Paul glances in the rearview mirror. Don't worry, I'll lose them. He accelerates. The Mercedes surges forward, weaving through the sparse late-night traffic. The motorcycles keep pace, their riders holding cameras with one hand while steering with the other, snapping photos through the car windows. Henri, slow down, Trevor Rhys-Jones says from the front seat. This isn't safe. I know what I'm doing. Henri's voice has changed, become harder, more aggressive. The friendly hotel employee has transformed into something else. A man with something to prove. A man who's had too much to drink. A man making terrible decisions at high speed. They're on the Place de la Concorde now, one of the largest public squares in Paris. Even at this hour, there are people around, cars, buses. Henri swerves around them, running a red light, the Mercedes engine roaring. Diana grabs Dodie's hand. This is too fast. Tell him to slow down. Henri, she's right, slow down. But Henri Paul either doesn't hear or doesn't care. They're approaching the entrance to the Pont de l'Alma tunnel now, the underpass that runs beneath the Seine. The motorcycles are still behind them, maybe even gaining ground. Henri Paul makes a decision that will kill him. He accelerates into the tunnel, the speedometer climbing past 60, then 70, then 80 miles per hour. The tunnel walls blur. The lights overhead strobe past. Diana closes her eyes, her grip on Dodie's hand tight enough to hurt. In the front seat, Trevor Rhys-Jones sees it first, the white Fiat Uno drifting into their lane, the driver seemingly unaware of the speeding Mercedes bearing down on him. Trevor opens his mouth to shout a warning, but there's no time. Henri Paul jerks the wheel to avoid the Fiat. The Mercedes swerves violently left, then overcorrects right. They're spinning now, out of control, the laws of physics taking over. The car slams into a concrete pillar that supports the tunnel ceiling, the front end crumpling like paper. The impact so violent that the Mercedes spins completely around and comes to rest facing the wrong direction. The sound is deafening, then suddenly, terribly silent. Henri Paul is killed instantly, his chest crushed by the steering column. Dodie Fide's body is thrown forward with such force that his internal injuries are catastrophic. He'll die before any ambulance arrives. Trevor Rhys-Jones, wearing his seatbelt, survives but with massive facial injuries that will require years of surgery to repair. He'll have no memory of the crash, no ability to answer the questions everyone will have. And Diana. Diana is conscious. The impact has thrown her onto the floor behind the front seats. She's breathing but struggling, her lungs filling with blood from internal injuries. Her legs are broken, her ribs are shattered. But she's alive, aware enough to know something terrible has happened, too injured to understand how bad it really is. The motorcycles arrive within seconds. Instead of helping, instead of calling for emergency services, the photographers start taking pictures. The flash of their cameras lights up the tunnel like lightning, capturing Diana's final moments, images so disturbing they'll never be published but will haunt everyone who sees them. One photographer later claims Diana spoke, whispered something before losing consciousness. He tells investigators she said, "Leave me alone." Others dispute this, say she was already unconscious. But the phrase becomes symbolic, a final plea from a woman who spent her entire adult life begging for the same thing. The first ambulance arrives at 12:32 a.m., 12 minutes after the crash. French emergency responders are thorough, careful, trained to stabilize patients on site before transport. But this approach, so different from the British scoop-and-run method, costs precious time. Diana is extracted from the wreckage at 1 a.m. Her blood pressure is dangerously low. She's given emergency treatment right there in the tunnel. IV fluids, oxygen, cardiac massage. At 1:41 a.m., more than an hour after the crash, the ambulance finally leaves for Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital. The drive should take 5 minutes. It takes 40. The ambulance stops twice because Diana's heart stops twice. By the time they reach the hospital, it's too late. Her chest injuries are too severe, her internal bleeding too extensive. Surgeons try for 2 hours to save her, massaging her heart, transfusing blood, desperately attempting to repair arteries torn beyond repair. At 4 a.m., August 31st, 1997, Diana, Princess of Wales, is pronounced dead. The world wakes to the news in stages. First reports of a serious accident, then that Diana is injured but alive, then critically injured, finally the truth. By morning, crowds begin gathering outside Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, anywhere associated with Diana. Flowers pile up. People weep openly. The grief is visceral, overwhelming, as if everyone personally knew her. At Balmoral Castle in Scotland, Prince Charles wakes William and Harry to tell them their mother is dead. The boys, 15 and 12 years old, have to endure not just private grief, but public mourning, walking behind their mother's coffin while the world watches and judges their every expression. The investigation begins immediately. French authorities determine that Henri Paul was intoxicated, that he was driving too fast, that the paparazzi chase contributed to the crash but didn't directly cause it. It's ruled an accident, tragic and preventable, but not criminal. But questions remain. Why was Henri Paul drinking when he knew he'd be driving? Who was in the white Fiat Uno that clipped the Mercedes? And why did that driver never come forward? Why did the ambulance take so long? Why were there no CCTV cameras in the tunnel that night when the entire area was usually monitored? And then the conspiracy theories begin. That British intelligence killed Diana to prevent her from marrying a Muslim. That the royal family ordered the hit because Diana was pregnant with Dodi's child. That Henri Paul was an informant for MI6. That the crash was orchestrated to look like an accident but was actually murder. Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi's father, spends millions investigating, hiring private detectives, demanding inquiries. He'll die believing his son and Diana were murdered. An official British inquest in 2008 rules the deaths were the result of gross negligence by Henri Paul and the paparazzi. But even this doesn't satisfy everyone. The truth is probably simpler and sadder than any conspiracy. A woman trying to escape photographers made a series of bad decisions. She got in a car with a drunk driver. She didn't wear her seatbelt. She was traveling at dangerous speed through a tunnel. And she paid for these decisions with her life. But the world doesn't want simple, sad truths. The world wants Diana to be a martyr, a victim of forces beyond her control, killed because she was too good, too loved, too dangerous to the establishment. 27 years have passed since that night in Paris. The tunnel on Pont de l'Alma has been refurbished. The concrete pillar Diana's car struck has been replaced. But above ground, a golden flame memorial stands. A replica of the Statue of Liberty's torch that's become an unofficial shrine to Diana. Every day, people leave flowers there. Every day, someone cries. The crowds have diminished over the years, but Diana's ghost refuses to fade. William and Harry grew up without their mother, shaped by her absence in ways they're still processing. William married Kate Middleton in the ceremony Diana never got to attend. Harry married Meghan Markle and left the royal family, citing the same press intrusion that plagued his mother. Both princes speak about Diana constantly, keeping her memory alive, warning about the dangers of paparazzi culture that hasn't changed enough since 1997. The paparazzi who chased Diana that night faced charges of invasion of privacy and manslaughter, but were eventually cleared. Most still work in the same industry, chasing different celebrities through different streets. The business model hasn't changed. A good photo is worth thousands, and the more invasive, the more valuable. What has changed is how we talk about Diana. No longer just the people's princess. She's become a symbol of everything wrong with celebrity culture, with the royal family, with how we treat public figures who dare to be human. Books are written, documentaries are made, conspiracy theories multiply on the internet. Everyone has an opinion about what really happened, what Diana was really like, what she would have thought about current events. But the people who knew her best say the same thing. Diana was complicated. She was kind and vindictive, generous and manipulative, genuine and calculating. She was capable of incredible compassion for strangers while being cruel to those closest to her. She wanted privacy while craving attention. She was a devoted mother who also used her children as props in her war with the royal family. In other words, she was human, flawed, contradictory, trying her best in circumstances that would have broken anyone. And maybe that's the real tragedy of her death. Not that she was killed by some grand conspiracy, but that she died running from the very thing she'd spent her entire adult life seeking: to be seen, to be noticed, to matter. The phone call Diana made to William that night, 3 hours before she died, haunts him still. In interviews, he's mentioned how the conversation was brief, how he was distracted, how he didn't know those would be the last words he'd hear from his mother. He said that if he could go back, he'd talk longer, tell her he loved her more clearly, ask her to come home. But we don't get to go back. We don't get second chances to say what we really mean. And Diana didn't get the chance to be the person she was becoming, to find peace, to grow old with her sons, to see her grandchildren. What we're left with is a ghost, a memory, a woman frozen at 36, forever young, forever beautiful, forever running from cameras that will never stop flashing. The truth about Diana's death is probably boring: drunk driver, excessive speed, paparazzi harassment, tragic accident. But the truth about Diana's life is anything but boring. She was a woman who refused to be what everyone wanted her to be, who fought for authenticity in a world of rigid protocol, who loved fiercely and hurt deeply and made mistakes just like everyone else. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's the legacy that matters. Not how she died, but how she lived. In the end, Diana got what she always said she wanted: to be free. Just not in the way she imagined. If this story made you think about fame, freedom, and the price of being in the spotlight, subscribe to Hidden Legends Stories. Leave a comment. Do you think Diana's death was an accident, or is there more to the story? What do you believe really happened that night in Paris? Next time, we'll explore another legend whose life was cut short under mysterious circumstances.